Today I'm gonna go over my workout program and analyze the details, and hopefully you will learn something from it. I will tell you exactly what I do, how I do it, why I do it that way. And first of all, I just want to talk a little bit about how the program works. I have two programs, which is basically the same program when it comes to the split and the muscle groups and mostly the rep ranges as well. They change in a couple of places, but usually they don't. And really the only things that change in the two programs are the exercises. I do this because I want to avoid overuse injuries, because I enjoy it, and also because it lets me get variety into my program. Now, the way I switch between the two programs is I do one for around 3 months. If I'm sick or I go on vacation or whatever and I don't go for a week or 2 weeks for some reason, I will usually factor that in. If, for example, if I would do it normally for 3 months, but let's say I was on vacation for 2 weeks, then I'm going to do it for 3 months and 2 weeks, because technically I wasn't doing it for 2 weeks. I never change anything. Anything before doing it for at least 3 months, unless I have some sort of pain or some injury or whatever. But I've already talked about that in a different video. I think you can watch it here or here. Now, the program is an upper-lower split that I do on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. I used to do it Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, but now I had to switch because of just life coming in the way. But that barely changed anything on the program, honestly, because it didn't really matter. The only thing that it will really matter on is forearms, which you will see when we're analyzing the program, but other than that, it doesn't make a significant difference. Now, even though this is an upper-lower split, there will be one thing that will stand out, which is back training, because I train my back every single time I go into the gym, because your back can take a lot of volume, and doing everything on the same day doesn't really make a lot of sense, in my opinion. So I'm doing pull-up variations on my lower body days, and I am doing other exercises for my back on my upper body days. But now let's start looking at the program. The very first thing you see is Monday, and the first exercise is bench/dips. You also see a letter A beforehand. I will talk about that in a second, but first, bench/dips. This is something that is constant throughout the two programs, so this doesn't change, and the reason for that is because these are two exercises and I can choose between them. So every Monday when I go into the gym, I know that my first exercise is going to be either bench or dips, and I am either going to do a 3x10 if I am doing bench, or if I'm doing dips, I'm going to do a 3x8 to 12. The reason for that is because I don't want to do overly high reps on the bench, but I feel like for me it kind of works better to do a static rep range here. So it's not a rep range, it's just a static 3x10, because that way I have to master the weight more before going on to the next weight. But when it comes to dips, I like doing a little bit higher reps, especially because I want to avoid any elbow pain or anything like that, because I used to have elbow pain on dips. Now I don't have them anymore, but I still like being careful. The way this whole choosing thing works is that I can choose whichever exercise from these two exercises that I want to do on the current day, but I have rules for that, which I also talk about it in the video that I linked beforehand. And my rule for this one is that I cannot do the same exercise 3 times in a row, because I don't want to forget it. I don't want to lose the neurological adaptations and then have shittier performance. So if I did bench twice in a row, and I usually do bench twice in a row because I like benching more, so usually I will choose bench, and then sometimes if the bench is taken and I want to do dips, which almost never happens that I actually want to do dips, I just do dips usually because I cannot do bench anymore. But the point is that I can choose. If I feel like doing dips, I can do that. If I feel like doing bench, I can do that. But if I do the same thing twice in a row, then the next time I cannot choose, I will have to do the other one. I do this because I want to keep bench in my program forever. So if we go over to program number 2, you see that bench/dips is the first here as well. So it is the same thing. But because we're talking about 2 exercises that I can choose from, it can be the same in both programs, and this is how I keep in bench and dips forever with avoiding overuse injuries. Now let's go into why there's an A before the bench/dips. It is for the same reason that there is a B before the neck curl, because this is a superset, and A means that it's the first exercise of the superset, and B means that it's the second. Now I have 3 exercises here in the superset as B, so that means that my superset looks like this. I do 1 set of bench/dips, And the second part of the superset is a neck curl, because I only have one set of that. And then I do a second set of bench/dips, and then the second part of that superset is the neck extension, and then the third is going to be the side neck extension. I am still relatively new to neck training, so I think I've been training my neck for around 6-7 months, maybe something like that, and I only increased my volume very recently to 6 sets per week, and I like to do all 3 of these exercises. The reason why is because I like to train every function of the neck. There's actually another function which is rotating the head, but I am not able to do that because I don't have any equipment for it at the moment. But eventually I want to get a neck harness, but I don't really need it yet. My neck is not that strong, so I can still really comfortably train it with just using plates without really running into any issues, except for maybe the side neck extension, because it's a little bit awkward and I use a bit more weight in that one. But apart from that, I'm good now, but I am planning on buying a neck harness later. And I like doing my neck work this way because I believe that the neck curl and the neck extension, like for example, those two target different muscles. Like when you do, I'm just gonna put my hand here. When you do this, just like, do you feel the back of your neck being activated? No, you don't. And vice versa, when you're doing this is not activated, okay? So this is like saying that doing a crunch and doing a back extension is the same thing. It isn't. So, well, I am not going to break down the neck into like front neck and back neck and all of that shit, but instead of just doing maybe 2 sets of neck curls on Monday and then 2 sets of neck extensions on another day and 2 sets of side neck extensions on a third day, I like to do all 3 exercises on the same day and just do 1 set for all of them. And eventually I will need 2 sets and then 3 sets. So I do increase my volume usually when I stall, but right now I don't need any more than this. So now we got rid of the next 3 exercises. So now you understand this, and I use a 15 to 20 rep range. The reason why is because I don't want to fucking snap my neck. Neck training is, well, it isn't inherently dangerous, but it's good to be careful, and I like to be extra careful when it comes to neck curls. And the way I progress on them, actually, to be even more careful, is when I reach 20 with a certain weight, I will do 23 times. I'm doing 10 kilograms right now. I haven't reached 20 with that yet, but let's say that I did, and hypothetically I am doing 20 reps with 10 kilograms, okay? The next time I am going to do the same thing and just try to improve my form. The time after that, I'm still gonna do the same thing, and then when I've already done this 3 times, then I will up the weight and then start again with like as many reps as I can do, which falls between 15 and 20 always. Our next superset is going to start with seated dumbbell overhead press. So the way I do these is with back support. I do them again with a dumbbell. It's seated. I have back support, and yeah, this is for the front delts. This is 3 times 6 to 10. I like generally lower reps on these because I feel like when it comes to overhead pressing, doing very low reps doesn't really work. But also when it comes to really high reps, like above 10, it just gets you out of the groove, and you will just want to rush the movement and it won't be as effective. So I really love this rep range. I use this rep range all the time for all of my overhead pressing because that's what works for me the best. And the other exercise is incline hammer curl, also 3 by 6 to 10. The reason why I do an incline hammer curl is I would actually like to do incline curls, but for some reason a dumbbell curl just never worked with my wrist, so I have like wrist pain if I do a dumbbell curl. I have a couple of bicep curl variations that I can do without wrist pain where I still supinate, so you will see that in the other program and in this one as well. But for this variation I like using a hammer curl grip, and also I think some people would say that this could count as forearm volume. I personally don't count it towards that because for me the forearms are not the limiting factor when it comes to this. Then we have 3 exercises in the superset, but it's not a giant set, it is still a superset because we're going to superset triceps with side delts. The very first exercise is a Smith JM press slash V-bar pushdown. So I can choose between these two again. The rules are the same as for the bench slash dips. The only difference is that this time I use the same rep range for both, and that is 2 by 8 to 12. Now this is a recent addition to my program. So I used to be doing V-bar pushdowns in one program, and I used to be doing duo row pushdowns in the other one, but I switched it out, and now I have the same thing in both programs. It's a Smith JM press slash a V-bar pushdown, because I started doing the Smith JM press only recently, and I want to make it a staple, and I want to keep it in my program forever, and that's why I have it this way. And another movement that I would compare to that is a V-bar pushdown, which really, both of these exercises don't really target the long head. They are more short and medial head, and they are more brute force exercises that you can just do brainlessly. So they aren't very like, the optimal biomechanics, whatever exercises. You can constantly progress on them, and they're very brute force. So you don't really have to think about your technique a lot. You just have to push. So the way we do this is we do one set of this, then one set of dumbbell lateral raises in a superset. Then again, one set of this, one set of dumbbell lateral raises again in the superset. And then we go into the third set of the superset. But now the first set is going to be a dual rope tricep extension on a cable. And this is coming from below. So you know that there is that version where it is coming from above and you kind of lean forward and do it like this. This is not that. This is the one where I am standing completely upright, but I will also cut a clip here, and I'm doing it like this. This is one of my favorite tricep exercises. It is very elbow friendly, so it feels absolutely amazing on my elbows, and that's why I really love it. The dual ropes, they help a lot with the elbows, especially because that way, originally you would do the movement like this with a single rope, but with dual ropes you can do it like this, where your hands actually want to move. This is how your body actually works, and that's why it feels much better on your elbows if you do it this way. And also I feel like it gives a much better stretch when you do it from below, and altogether it's just a much different sensation from when you do it from above. I have on the other program the same exercise, but it's not the same exercise because I'm doing it from above and I'm doing it with only one rope. That is more of a brute force exercise, but this one is more of an optimal exercise, and it's very hard to progress on this one when it comes to weight. So usually I would get the same amount of weight and reps for a couple of times before being able to add one rep, but I am still progressing on this slowly but surely, so I'm not stressing on it at all. And the reason why I do these exercises this way is because, if you notice, it helps a lot to do push downs before your extensions, because it warms up your elbows for extensions. So you will realize that every single time that I train triceps, I always do a push down. I don't know if it's Smith JM press, could be called a push down, but you get what I mean. I always do something else before the extensions that will warm up my elbows for the extensions that are a little bit more taxing on the elbows. And then I have the dumbbell lateral raise, 3 sets of 10 to 15. I use a higher rep range on this one because lower rep ranges don't really work with lateral raises, and I cannot really comment anything on this. It's just dumbbell lateral raises, just some side delt work. I like the dumbbells. I also have cable lateral raises in the other program. I feel like that is a little bit more effective, but I need a bit of variety, and I feel like dumbbell lateral raises are still a pretty good movement. And the last exercise is a chest supported dumbbell shrug. I really love this exercise because it really allows you to really stretch out your traps, not only down, but also because I am leaning a little bit forward, I can stretch them down and forward. And it feels absolutely insane, and it helps your traps a lot. When you're doing this, you're going to be using a lot of weight. When it comes to trap training, you can throw all of the down ego lift and use pristine technique. You can throw all of that shit out the window when it comes to trap training, because what matters the most for trap training is just loading a bunch of weight and stretching your traps with that weight. Now obviously I still like having some standard of form here, but yeah, I really love this movement, and when I'm doing these I am trying to focus more so on the stretch, and you should do the same. So if you're doing this movement, you should focus on the stretch and not just contracting and then letting it a little bit down and then doing another one, because I see people doing shrugs like this all the time, like it's not doing anything, bro. You need to go like oh my god, and then back, and then slowly down. You have to feel that crazy stretch. That is what is going to grow your traps. Now we're moving on to Tuesday, which is gonna be a lower body day. The first thing you might notice is this is like half the length of the other one, but actually when it comes to time, is going to be around the same length, maybe a little bit shorter. But even though Monday looks very long, I actually get it done usually in less than an hour and a half. I can get it done in an hour. I've done that before. It's not the best. I have to rush a little bit if I do that, but it happened before. But I can usually get it done in an hour and around 50 minutes. When it comes to Tuesday, it's kind of the same. So it's like an hour and 15 minutes, maybe an hour and a half, because there aren't as many supersets here. There's only really one superset. Let's start with the first exercise. Actually, before the very first exercise, and the reason why this day is a little bit longer than it seems is, as a warm-up, I do 10 minutes on the assault bike to warm up my knees and my quads, and only after that do I start my squatting. And here I have 3 sets of 8 on high bar squats. This is a very quad focused high bar squat, so I am primarily focusing on my technique, and that's also where I have a static rep range here, because if I would not have a static rep range and I would just have like a, let's say a 3x6 to 8, then I would probably reach 8 on the first set and not on the other 2, and then I would increase the weight and I would have absolutely fucking shit form. But I'm not doing that. I am going until I get 3x8 with a certain weight, and only after that am I upping the weight. But I am usually upping the weight not with 5 pounds but with 10 pounds. And the second part of this superset is a standing single leg calf raise. So what I do here is I stand on 2 plates and I do single leg calf raises like that. This is very good because this way I can superset the 2 exercises probably that I hate the most in my entire program. And whenever I see that this day is coming, I'm like, oh fuck, I need to do this again. But all jokes aside, this wasn't actually a joke, by the way, it's completely true. But supersetting calves with your very first exercise is such a powerful tool. This way you never skip calves, because you just cannot do the rest of your training without that. You will have to begin with it. And doing calves at the very beginning of your training just alone feels like a little bit of a fucking something pointless kind of. And also I think it's just a waste of time, honestly, because like what are you going to do? Just stare out of your head while you're resting? No, you can do something else, because these two don't interrupt each other at all. So you can do your set of squats, then I do a set. I actually do 2 sets because I have to do 1 set for one of my calves and then another set for my other calf. And then after that I rest a little bit, but I don't even have to rest that much at that point, because I have already rested my quads a lot while doing the calf raises. So I only rest after that like maybe a minute of like actual resting, and then I can get back into my squats. And this way I get these 2 things that I hate done very, very quickly. And after that, I don't have to stress about them. I literally used to spend an hour warming up to and doing 4 sets of squats and just having a bunch of rest time in between and doing nothing else, and, you know, always trying to like mentally prepare, because I would use a lot of weight, because I would tweak my form towards being able to use a lot of weight. I don't do that anymore. I tweak my form towards using a lot of quads, and that makes me use a lot less weight. And this way I can get 3 sets of squats and 3 sets of calf raises done with warming up together, literally in like 20-25 minutes. So it's really, really time efficient. Now the rep range for the calves is 15 to 20. The reason for that is because, I don't know, people say that your calves grow better with higher reps. Honestly, I've tried lower and higher reps. For me, the 20 to 30 or anything above 20 didn't really work, but I feel like when it comes to 15 to 20, I can still do that. I'm not saying comfortably, because I hate every second of it. It feels like shit, but I can still go to failure on this rep range, but if you go any higher, or if I go any higher at least, I feel like I cannot go to failure because I would just somehow give up. The third exercise is a fat grip chin up, or at least it was before somebody stole my motherfucking fat grips from the gym. Because I left my fat grips at the gym right before going to vacation, and I always forget them somehow. I already left my fat grips a couple of times in the gym beforehand, but every single time when I went the next time, I was like, oh, my fat grips are here. Very nice. But this time, I forgot my fat grips in the gym. I went on vacation for like 10, 11 days or something. I came back, I had to do fat grip chin-ups again, and I was like, oh wait, where are my fat grips? And they weren't at home, they weren't in the gym either. I looked at every single corner. I know every corner of the gym, they weren't anywhere. Somebody just fucking took them, which I was really pissed off about, because if somebody would steal my belt, I could just go into a store here and buy a new one. But fat grips, you cannot get fat grips in the entire country. When I got mine, I ordered them from the US and I had to wait 1 month for delivery. I had to pay 200% price because I paid the price once, and then again I had to pay literally the full price again in taxes. Also, after paying my taxes, I wrote them an email that please, do you want to maybe send me my package, because I already paid my taxes, so now it's time that you actually fucking send me. And here it goes, like sometimes you have to literally beg them to send you your stuff, because otherwise like they tell you pay this amount of money and then we release your package, and then you pay it and they never fucking release it. You literally have to ask them and call them and write like 3 emails to them. And so that way I think you understand why I was so pissed, because this is a very hard to replace piece of equipment, but I had to come up with something else. So the new thing that I'm doing is I am doing only a chin up here. I am only doing a chin up here, not a fat grip chin up, just regular chin ups. And then I superset towel holds with my ab wheel rollouts at the end of the workout. So that means I put plates on a towel and then I hold the towel. I do it for like 20 seconds. I do 3 sets of it. I try to reach 20 seconds for both hands, and I will increase the weight by 5 pounds every single time that I can do 20 seconds on the very first set. But the funny thing is, actually this whole thing was like a month ago, and now I went to the gym. The last time when I went to the gym and I was doing this workout, guess what happened? I saw them. I saw the fat grips. I was so insanely happy. And then I went there to get it, and it was only one of them. So now I have one fat grip, but I don't have the other one. So I'm still waiting for my time to one day maybe find it. And then I will start doing fat grip chin-ups again. Or I might eventually, like, I don't know, maybe if I don't find it for like 5 months or 6 months or something, then I will order new ones. But right now I am not planning on doing that. But I have a 3x6 to 10 on this, and I treat this like every other exercise. So I do them with added weight, and every single time I reach 10 on my first set with a certain weight, I will increase the weight. Then I have a seated leg curl. There's not much to talk about. This one is just hamstring work, 4x8 to 12. And then I have ab wheel rollouts, 3 times as many reps as possible. Ab work, very, very important. Do your ab work. Don't skip abs. This is a great movement for abs, but my best ab movement is in the other program, but you will see that a little bit later. So 3 times as many reps as possible, because this is not really a loadable exercise. I am, of course, not yet able to do a full ab wheel rollout, so I just do them from my knees. And now we're moving on to Thursday, which is probably my favorite day. The first one is a giant set. It's gonna be Spoto bench press, 3 sets of 8. If you don't know what a Spoto bench is, it is a type of bench press where you don't let the bar entirely down, so you don't let it touch your chest. Actually, you stop it just a little bit, just around 1 inch before reaching your chest. You hold it there for a second or two, and then you press up. The second part of the superset is a croc row. I do this for the thickness of my back, so essentially the traps and rhomboids and all of that. And this is not very strict. If you know what croc rows are like, it's basically a dumbbell row that you do with this kind of grip. So you grip the dumbbell like this, and you do it to your sides. And I credit a lot of my recent back growth towards this movement, because when it comes to my back, for a very long time I knew how to train my lats kind of, and my lats grew, but my back wasn't thick, and now it got a little bit thicker. And I think a large portion of it was from me doing this exercise, and it's a 3 by 8 to 12. And then the third part of the giant set is neck work. So again, it's the same thing as a Monday: neck curl, neck extension, side neck extension, one set of 15 to 20 on all of them. I don't have to explain anything on that. Then we have an overhead press. This is just done with a barbell, standing up, 3 sets of 6 to 10. I really like the progression on this. Sometimes it's a little bit tougher, sometimes it isn't. And in the other program in this place, I have a seated AD press, which I really like. For me, these two movements they help each other when the other one is stuck. So usually what happens is I start doing one, and by the end of the 3 months, the progression obviously slows down a little bit and it gets tougher and tougher. And then I start doing the other one, and they always help each other out. So that's a really good thing, because that way I never really get stuck. And then we have a finger curl, which, on a bench. So I would just edit a clip here of me doing these. I essentially put my lower arm on the bench. I lean a little bit forward onto that arm, because that way it feels much better, and it is also more wrist friendly. And then I let the dumbbell down, and then I do a curling motion kind of at the same time, both with my fingers and then with my wrist. This is my favorite forearm exercise. This is absolutely insane. Now, I was talking about how the forearm work gets a little bit fogged, honestly, from this modification of putting it Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. The reason why is because this used to be on Friday, and that way it would be a lot more balanced. But now it's like Tuesday, forearm work, then rest day, then forearm work again, and then no forearm work for like several days. That's kind of fucked. Honestly, I'm okay with that. It was a little bit better before. I had to change things to have it like this because of life. That's life. Life is life. And I do 3 sets of 8 to 12 on these. Then I have tricep and rear delt work supersetted. It's like the 10th time that I'm trying to say this. First one is one arm D-handle push down on a cable. I only do 1 set of this. This is, again, it's only here to warm up my elbows for the decline dumbbell extension that will come afterwards. It's 1 set of 6 to 10, and the progression on this is very, very slow, because you cannot put a lot of weight on this, especially because it's one arm, and obviously the weight increments are really high when it comes to just one arm. So the way I do this is it has to be between 6 and 10 reps, but when I reach the 10 reps, I usually do that 3 times before moving on to the next weight, and then usually I will do the 6 for a couple of times, because it's gonna be very tough. And usually on the first try, the 6 reps are a little bit uglier, and then my form progressively gets better, and then eventually I'm gonna be able to do 7 reps, and then I just slowly work up from there on. The other exercise is, again, the decline dumbbell extension, which is 2 sets of 6 to 10. This is the main tricep exercise of the day, actually. And I really love this exercise. It's one of those exercises that it gives a tremendous stretch on your long hand. And I feel like it is also, at first when I started doing it, it felt like shit on my elbows. And now it's one of the best exercises when it comes to elbow health. For me, at least. Now, one problem with this exercise is that it's hardest at the top, but that can be forgiven because it's still a very good exercise. And progressing on this will help you a lot with growing your triceps. Now, the decline isn't super big, so I literally just put a plate under the bench, and that's a decline. So it's not very big, and very important that this is not a skull crusher, okay? A skull crusher is completely different. Okay, in a skull crusher, you're gonna be like this. In this exercise, you're gonna be more like this. So that way your long head gets stretched a lot more. And I superset all of these with power raises. This is for my rear delts. It's 3 sets of 10 to 15. As you can see, I usually do a 10 to 15 rep range on my side and rear delt exercises, because that's That's just what works the best. And these exercises feel a little bit more awkward when you're using lower reps, and also the shoulders are a little bit of a kind of a delicate area in your body, so it's good to be careful with them, obviously. And as you can see, I think something that you might have realized is I don't do a lot of side and rear delt work because they overlap a lot, and because my main shoulder builder aren't these. My main shoulder builder is the overhead press and the, where is it? The seated dumbbell overhead press. For so many years, I believed the bullshit of, oh, no, you don't need to do overhead press. You don't need to do any direct front delt work because you're getting enough front delt work from your chest presses. Bull fucking shit. Bro, all you need is to just spam lateral raises. I spammed lateral raises. My shoulders didn't grow shit. You know what I do now? As you can see, I do 3 sets of lateral raises per week. I do 3 sets of rear delt work per week. And I do 6 sets of overhead pressing per week. And my shoulders have grown a lot. And as the last exercise of the day, I have a 1-arm cable curl, which is just 3 sets of 8 to 12. This is, again, since it's 1 arm, it's a little bit difficult to progress on because the weight increments are very big. So I usually do the same thing as when it comes to the 1-arm D-handle pushdown. So I go up to 12 reps on the first set, but then I go up to 12 reps on all of the other set. And sometimes I even do that for a couple of sessions, and only after that will I up the weight. And the way I do this is the cable is coming from behind me, so it isn't coming from below, or I mean it is, but you get what I mean. It isn't coming directly from below, so I'm not directly standing above the cable. It is also not coming from in front, it is coming from behind. This is an important factor. Now we're moving on to Friday. The first one is hack squat, V squat. The reason why I put it is because I usually write and I call it hack squat, but I think the machine is actually called a V squat machine or something like that, because we don't have a hack squat. I have no idea why. I love hack squats and we don't have one, but the closest thing that we have to it is a V squat. I do 3 sets of 10 on those. There's not really much to explain here. Only thing is I use a very quad focused form on that. So I know that a lot of people are putting their feet just way in front of them, and it's not a lot of quads. It makes the movement a lot easier, and it makes the movement a lot more glute focused, and you're not really getting what you want. So a lot of you need to put your feet back a little bit more. Then we're supersetting this with, again, standing single leg calf raise. This is 3 sets of 10 to 15. So this is the same as before, but now we're moving with a lower rep range, so this lets me use higher additional weight. The way I add weight to these is I just hold a dumbbell in my hand. Then I do a Romanian deadlift with a bar, 2 sets of 6 to 10. You don't need a lot of sets when it comes to Romanian deadlift. So honestly, these 2 sets are perfectly enough for me. They're more than enough, honestly. I do this for 2 things, hamstrings and back thickness, because I wasn't doing any hip hinges for a very long time because I don't know, I was just kind of afraid because I had problems with my hips before and I didn't want to do them again because deadlifts never somehow work with me. But the Romanian deadlift does actually work with me really well, really nicely. And the thing is, you need some sort of deadlifting movement, not necessarily conventional deadlifts, but you need some deadlift because it stretches your traps a lot, and also it really, like, it stretches your back both in the down direction when you're like this, and it stretches your back like all the way throughout the range of motion where you don't lift your hands. Obviously you go down and your hands stay stationary, but it's the same as if you would try to stretch your back like this, like while lifting your hand, if you get what I mean. So it stretches your back in this direction, this direction, this direction, this, all the way down, and it's a very useful movement, and it's very helpful for growing your traps and just like overall the thickness of your back, while also growing your hamstrings, obviously. Now we have pull-ups. This is again gonna be weighted. We have the same mindset here as with the fat grip chin-up. The only difference is this is not fat grip, and this is a pull-up, not a chin-up. And we have 3 sets of 6 or 10 here. Not much to explain again. And then as the last exercise again, we have ab wheel rollout, 3 sets of as many reps as possible. And now we're going to move on to program number 2, but I'm going to drink some water. So program number 2, the very first thing we have is completely the same. It's bench / dips. Honestly, everything is the same here, so I won't explain any of that because I already did. The reason why I don't switch up my neck work, because what do I switch it up to? Like, the thing is, there's not really anything else that you can do for your neck, so that's all I do. The second superset is again going to be an overhead press variation with a curl, but this time it's a seated overhead press again with dumbbells again, but now there's no back support, so I don't have any back support. I am just sitting on a flat bench and doing overhead presses like this. And again, the amount of sets and reps is the same. When it comes to the hammer curl, though, it isn't the same. The reason why is because I like doing over the week 2 rep ranges when it comes to my biceps, and I have the heavier one on the other workout where I have a dumbbell preacher curl because there is more of a stretch focused movement. And when it comes to movements that focus on the weighted stretch, it's a better idea generally to use lower rep ranges, because the lower the rep range, the more weight you're going to be using, the better the weighted stretch. So that's the reason why I have 3 sets of 8 to 12 here, and it's just a hammer curl. There's really not much to explain here. Then we have again Smith JM press / rebar pushdown, same amount of sets and reps again. But the other tricep exercise is 1 arm cable tricep extension with a rope. So this is also coming from below. So essentially it's kind of the same exercise as last time, but this is 1 arm this time. So I'm not doing 2 arms at the same time. I am only doing 1 arm. And the reason the rep range is, I don't know. The reason why I wrote this is because it's one set of, I don't know, because the weight increments are so awkward somehow, and it's so high that I need to do a very high amount of reps before being able to increase the weight. So I usually want to do at least 10 reps on this, because otherwise it kind of, maybe not 10, but at least 8 reps on this, because otherwise it feels kind of awkward. This is more so a high rep movement, and in order to be able to do that, I would have to probably do like something 17, 18 reps with the current weight. So I just go until that. But realistically, I have no rep range here. All I do is I just increase the reps until a certain point, and then eventually when I feel like I could do the next one for enough reps, the next weight for enough reps, then I will try it, and if it works, then okay. If it doesn't, then I will still add more reps onto the weight that I'm using right now. And the other part of the superset is cable lateral raise. So this is really nice because I can just take up 1 cable and I don't have to take up a bunch of equipment. And this is, again, 3 sets of, I don't know, because it's the exact same thing. The weight increment is just too big. So just do it until I can increase the weight, and I have no idea when that is. But also it kind of doesn't matter that much here, because these are, the cable lateral raise when it comes to my side delts, it is a staple, but it's more of a optimal exercise and not a very caveman exercise. The one for that is the overhead press variation. So this one is a little bit more so complementary. That doesn't mean that I am not putting my full effort into it. That just means that when it comes to the weight progression, it's not gonna be as big, so I'm not gonna progress on weight very often, obviously, because you're also using very low weight on this one. And yeah, but here comes the last movement where I am not using very low weight, which is a power shrug that I do with a barbell. I would do it with not a barbell, with something else, but I don't have anything else. The dumbbells are not good either. The barbell is something that you can load a bunch of weight on. The only problem is it runs into your body, but honestly, I just don't have a choice. I don't have the machine where you have the 2 arms by the side of you and you can do shrugs that way. Unfortunately, my gym doesn't have that, so I have to stick with the barbell. I'm doing 2 sets of 6 to 10, and I'm increasing the weight after that, but the weight increase is always 10 pounds because, I mean, you can progress a lot of this on this movement. You can put also a lot of weight on it. This is purely for stretching out your traps, and you still get a little bit of active range of motion, but really, like, you kind of just jerk up the weight and then you do a bit of a slow negative and try to really stretch your traps, and then do the same thing again and do a couple of reps with that. And again, because this is a weighted stretch focused exercise, I use a lower rep range. Then we have Tuesday. We're opening with a front squat, 3 sets of 10, because I feel like, honestly, even on the high bar squat, I am thinking about upping the reps to 10 instead of just 8, because I feel like it's not working that well when it comes to 8 reps. The only problem is I'm trying to go very slow and controlled there and focus on my technique, and also here obviously, but I feel like higher reps, not overly high, but high as like 10 at max, works a little bit better when it comes to squats and just in general leg training. But yeah, that's just for the quad focus, front squat, nothing extra. Then we have a lying leg curl. So last time we had a seated one, now we have a lying leg curl. I actually like this more. People say like, oh, the seated leg curl is much better. I only do this for variation, but I fucking hate it. The lying leg curl is so much better, in my opinion. Or I just like it more, at least. It might not be better from a muscle activation standpoint, but I like the movement better itself. It feels better to me, at least, and the reps and sets are the same as in the other workout program. Then we have a lying leg raise. This one is, I would honestly say that this is the exercise. This exercise is the reason why I still have abs after 9 months of bulking. This exercise is absolutely insane. This is the best ab exercise that I have in my arsenal because it stretches the shit out of your abs, and it's a really good exercise. So the way I do it is I lie down on a bench, and it's in a way that my butt is still on the bench. So my glutes are still there, but my hamstrings are already floating. So they are not on the bench, and in reality, it's only my glutes and my upper back that is in contact with the bench. And I put a dumbbell and I hold the dumbbell between my 2 ankles, which is very awkward. And don't, I warn you, don't drop the dumbbell on your nuts. And if you do, then don't blame me. That's my only problem with this exercise, is that I still need to find a way to infinitely load this, because right now, I mean, with the load that I'm using right now, it's fine. I am using like 8 kilograms, so that's like 20 pounds or something. But I know that after a while, it will become probably more awkward and more unsafe. But right now it's fine for me, but I have to somehow find out a way to load this properly, because this is an awesome exercise. I just really don't know how to load it. But the thing is, you probably won't use very high weights on this one. Very low weights are enough to achieve complete muscular failure. Like, I'm not even kidding. And also an important thing is, the way I do them is, on the way down, you have your back extended, and when you start lifting your legs, you not only start lifting your legs, but you also kind of put your abs into it like twice, because you use your abs when you lift your legs up, obviously. And you also kind of crunch into it a little bit, but you don't lift your upper body. It's more like when you're going down, your back is extended. And when you're down and you start coming up, you essentially push your lower back into the bench while raising your legs. And you don't raise your legs up completely. So your legs are like this in the beginning of the movement. It's honestly better, like, if they can be parallel, that's good. If they can go a little bit lower, that's even better. But they don't come up completely with 90 degrees, because there's no tension here. Like, this part of the movement doesn't really matter. So it's enough to just bring it up to here. Also, if you just bring it up to here, you won't drop the dumbbell on your nuts. And so what you do is you just bring it up to around here, and this will keep constant tension on your abs. And then you go back very slowly with a slow eccentric. And here you already got your back extended again. And now up. And now slowly back again. And this This is absolutely insane. And this, in my opinion, is much better than the hanging version. First of all, because I'm a tall person, so I cannot do hanging leg raises in most places. And also, I never felt that movement that much. I never felt like it was a very good movement. I know that a lot of people like it. I personally don't like it that much, but this is that. But the difference is that one is very short bias, but this one is very lengthened bias. The next exercise we have is a standing machine calf raise, 3 sets of 10 to 15. There's really not much to talk about this. It's just a standing machine calf raise. Also, I think something you might have noticed, or maybe not, is that it's become like so natural to me, but I used to do standing and seated calf raise, but now I don't do seated anymore. People say, oh, you should do both of them. I actually found the opposite. I never was able to grow my calves with seated calf raises, even though I actually did progress on them, but somehow it just, I don't know, it just doesn't help for me. And I feel like the standing calf raises grow my calves a lot better. And you will see the same scheme here. It's 3 sets of 10 to 15 here, and on the other workout, it's 3 sets of 15 to 20. Oh yeah, it's actually a different movement here. Okay, but that's... I'll talk about that in a second. Last exercise is fed grip, close grip, neutral grip pull up, or at least it was before somebody fucking stole my fed grips. Now I also do the towel hold here, but I used to do this one. So this is where you use a neutral grip and it's close together. So it's not like this, it's very, very close. And I put a fed grip on that. So this way it becomes both forearms and back. And this is amazing when it comes to your lats. And I do 3 sets of 6 to 10 on these, but right now I don't do them with the fat grips because I don't have them. First day, we're starting again with an upper body day. The first one is gonna be dumbbell bench press. This is 3 sets of 10. There's not a lot to say about this, except that a lot of people are absolutely retarded when it comes to dumbbell bench. They say, so many people stop doing normal bench and they start doing only dumbbell bench instead. And they say, I just, the bench press is not that good for hypertrophy. The bench press is excellent for hypertrophy. You're just a fucking weak person. You just have a shitty bench and you want to mask it with doing dumbbell bench. No, bro. Just do your bench if you're like that. But these same people, they say, oh, the dumbbell bench is actually much better for hypertrophy, and then they do a much more inferior range of motion with the dumbbell bench than they otherwise had done with the normal bench. So why the fuck would it be better? It's not as stable and you're not even doing a better range of motion. The only way a dumbbell bench press is better than a normal bench press is that it allows for better range of motion. Other than that, it's unstable, so it's not as good as the regular bench in that area. But if you're not getting a better range of motion, then you're not getting the benefit, but you're getting the downside. So what the fuck are you even doing? So guys, one thing that also helps is to not hold your dumbbells like this. If you hold them a little bit like this, then it will allow you to go completely down, and you should get the biggest stretch that you can get and then push it up, okay? So don't go down until here. Like a lot of people, what they would do is they will come and they will do it like this and then up again. No, you go like this all the way and then back, okay? You have to go down all the way. And the superset that with the neck work, just like always. Then we have thickness focused cable row. What this means is that before I start my set, I look for the thickest person in the room, and while doing my cable rows, I focus on them all the time. I look at them like this. I just stare at them while doing it until they call the police on me. No, actually, the thickness focused cable row, what it means is I make it focus on like my back thickness. So essentially my traps and the rhomboids and all of that good stuff that is not the lat. And I use a bit of cheating in order to straighten out the resistance curve. And I round my upper back at the end of the movement or the beginning, I don't fucking know. And then I'll go like this with a little bit of momentum and a little bit of help from my lower back. And then I will go back slowly and really stretch out my upper back. and I do this with a straight bar. 3 sets of 8 or 12. Next superset is a seated AD press. So again, as I said, this is a really good complement for my OHP, and I really like this also because I can get a little bit more weight up on this exercise than with the overhead press. So that's also, I think, another reason why it kind of helps. And I do 3 sets of 6 to 10 with this one, and I superset it with the dumbbell preacher curl, my absolute favorite bicep exercise. I do also 3 sets of 6 to 10 here because of the weighted stretch, as I said, because this is a very lengthened bias movement, and the very good thing on this movement is it is impossible to cheat. It is impossible to do anything, okay? So if your numbers are going up on this movement, you're getting better, period. Like there is almost nothing that you can do in order to fuck this exercise up, which is a very nice thing. The reason why I do them with the dumbbells is because I don't like easy bars. First of all, I think we don't even have a preacher curl station anywhere, so I wouldn't even be able to do them with an easy bar. But also I really like this because, again, it works well with my wrist, and I like this superset because this way I can just set up the bench for my AD presses. I do my AD presses, and then on the same bench I can do my dumbbell preacher curls, so that's really nice. Then I have a dual row push down on a cable. I only have 1 set of that, 6 to 10. This is also, again, it's a little bit long head focused, or like more, it's a push down that is more biased towards the long head with the dual rope, but it's relatively hard to progress, and I do the push down first because after that comes an extension, and the push down is warming my elbows up again for the extension. The extension is this time the cable tricep extension with only 1 rope. And now it's the type where it is coming from above, and I am a little bit like leaning forward and doing it like this. And on this I have 2 sets of 6 to 10. And at the end of all of this, I have a superset, a last superset, which is a Y raise. So this is when you lie down on a little bit of an incline bench, face down with 2 dumbbells, and you essentially raise them in like a Y motion. And I do 3 sets of 10 to 15 on these. This is a movement for the rear and side delts, essentially. One thing with this movement is how you do it matters a lot. And just, I feel like it requires a little bit of mental focus in order to do the movement well, because you can do the movement and almost never go to failure and just get nothing from it in one way, but you can also do the movement in a very controlled fashion where you don't necessarily like really swing the dumbbells up. You hold them and then you slowly descend, and then you do the whole thing again. And I superset this with the reverse grip easy bar curls. These are for the forearms, and 3 sets of 8 to 12. There's not really much to say about this one. Train your forearms, everybody. Now I take forearms just as seriously as anything else, and they are growing pretty nicely, honestly. And now we got Friday, the last day, which actually I'm going to do this exact training session today, and it's Saturday. But bear squat, the first one, 3 sets of 6 to 10. I actually hate bear squats. It's a good exercise, don't get me wrong. I just hate the feeling of it because it's so difficult. Then we have dumbbell Romanian deadlift, 2 sets of 6 to 10. This is something that I want to, I will have to switch this out, honestly, because the dumbbells are not heavy enough, but I don't know yet what to switch it out to, so I'm just doing this at the moment, and I have to find something instead of this one. Then we have a standing Smith machine calf raise. Now here, originally I was doing the same thing as here, so the standing machine calf raise, but the thing is we have 2 gyms here, and I used to do this workout, so I used to do all of my workouts in the big gym, except for this one, Monday, which I used to do in the small gym, but now I do both Monday and Friday in the small gym. The reason for that is because I live here now, so it takes me 2 minutes to go to the small gym. So obviously I want to go to the small gym. So this way I can just walk 2 minutes to the gym from my apartment, and I don't have to commute all the time and spend all of my time on nothing really. And there's almost nothing that changed here, and this is just as good as the other one. So standing Smith machine call phrase, because we don't have a standing call phrase machine here. We only have a Smith machine, but it's perfectly fine. And I do it 3 sets of 15 to 20 on here. Next one is lying leg raise, 3 sets of 8 to 12. Again, it's the same thing as here. This is the best ab exercise that I have. And then we have a wide grip pull up. This is a little bit more back thickness, but I also really like it on just my entire back. I feel like this is a very productive movement, and I still don't have to add any weight to this. And I do 3 sets of 6 to 10 on here. And that was my program. So that is all of it. I will make it a little bit bigger maybe, so you can see the whole thing. And honestly, you can just copy the whole thing and do it as you wish. For me personally, a lot of these exercises I chose because either I really like them, really believe in them. Some of these exercises I got recommended from other people, but some of the exercises I kind of, not necessarily saying that I came up with them myself, but I had to kind of try a couple of exercises because something hurt, and just found the one that didn't, and then I'm using that here. So for an example, dumbbell preacher curl is like that. I don't see a lot of people doing that, honestly, because most people do it with an easy bar or something. I like doing them with a dumbbell because that's what works the best for me. I also don't see a lot of people do a hammer incline curl, but that's again something that works really well for me. But there's a lot of other exercises that obviously a lot of other people do as well. I am encouraging you that if something that a lot of people do doesn't work for you, try to find something else, try to experiment, try to do something that's similar to it. And that is all I had for today. Watch this video next, and I'll see you next time.